The prestigious grass courts of Wimbledon have always represented far more than just the pinnacle of international tennis. For over a century, this historic venue has served as a pristine stage where athletic excellence intersects seamlessly with the highest echelons of global celebrity and high society. Every summer, the world turns its attention to the manicured lawns of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, expecting to witness masterclasses in sportsmanship, grueling five-set battles, and the crowning of new champions. Yet, for those who watch closely, the true drama often unfolds away from the baseline and outside the white lines of the court. The stadium seats, particularly the highly exclusive and heavily guarded sections reserved for distinguished guests, regularly become a pressure cooker of unspoken social dynamics, subtle gestures, and hidden tensions. It is a place where a single look, a turned shoulder, or even the brief hesitation to applaud can instantly ignite a firestorm of global speculation and capture the fascinated attention of millions worldwide. The immaculate environment of the tournament demands a strict adherence to traditional etiquette, decorum, and mutual respect, making any perceived departure from these unspoken rules an immediate focal point for public scrutiny. When 15,000 eager spectators packed into the stands on a bright Saturday afternoon to witness the highly anticipated women's final, the atmosphere was already electric with expectation. The air was thick with excitement as fans settled in to watch two world-class athletes compete for one of the most coveted titles in all of sports history. As is the case every year, the crowd itself was a glittering tapestry of famous faces, featuring Hollywood heavyweights, international fashion icons, legendary sports figures, and, most notably, prominent members of the British royal family. The presence of such high-profile individuals always adds an undeniable layer of glamour and prestige to the event, elevating it from a standard sporting competition into a major cultural moment that dominates headlines across continents. Among this sea of distinguished guests, three individuals automatically drew the lion's share of attention from both the rolling television cameras and the eagle-eyed spectators in attendance. Seated within the luxurious, flower-lined confines of the iconic royal box were the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince William and Kate Middleton, alongside the globally celebrated actress and international icon Priyanka Chopra. To the casual observer, their shared presence in this highly coveted seating area was completely natural, given that all three public figures had traveled to the historic grounds for the exact same reason: to enjoy world-class tennis and support the tournament's final contenders. In such a dense gathering of elite personalities, it is standard protocol for guests to engage in polite nods, warm greetings, and brief moments of shared acknowledgement, maintaining the polite and sophisticated atmosphere that the prestigious club has cultivated for generations. However, as the afternoon progressed and the high-stakes matches got underway, a highly unusual and distinctly cold dynamic began to emerge within the crowded stands, sending shockwaves through the observers who were carefully monitoring the behavior of the VIP guests. Despite being positioned a mere few rows apart from one another in an intimate and highly visible setting, there appeared to be an absolute and total absence of communication, greeting, or even the most basic mutual acknowledgement between the prominent royal couple and the world-renowned actress. To those watching from the stands and analyzing the scene from afar, the complete lack of interaction felt intensely deliberate, casting a palpable shadow of unease over what was supposed to be a celebratory afternoon of elite sportsmanship. In a world where public figures are hyper-aware of the cameras tracking their every move, such a stark and uninterrupted wall of silence between major global personalities is incredibly rare, immediately signaling to seasoned onlookers that something far more complex was occurring beneath the surface. The spark that officially turned this subtle stadium dynamic into an outright viral sensation was a short, deceptively simple video clip that quickly began making the rounds across various social media platforms. The footage captured a specific, highly charged moment just as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were arriving at the stadium, stepping into the prestigious enclosure to a resounding and uproarious wave of cheers and applause from the ecstatic crowd. As Prince William and Kate Middleton waved graciously to the enthusiastic public and moved down the stairs to take their designated front row seats, The camera simultaneously captured Priyanka Chopra situated in the background, seated just a couple of rows directly behind them, while the surrounding spectators rose to their feet and clapped enthusiastically to welcome the senior royals. The celebrated actress remained firmly focused on her own attire, casually reaching down to fix her dress and adjust her garment without offering a single clap or looking up toward the newly arrived couple. This specific sequence of events, captured in real time and broadcast to a global audience, immediately became the subject of intense breakdown, with viewers pausing, rewinding, and dissecting every single frame to understand the true nature of the interaction. It is certainly worth noting, if one examines the surrounding footage with an objective eye, that several other spectators seated in Priyanka's immediate vicinity also refrained from applauding, choosing instead to remain quiet or focus on their own conversations as the royal couple settled into their seats. In the grand scheme of a massive, bustling stadium filled with thousands of shouting fans, a brief moment of a guest adjusting their clothing or failing to join in a standing ovation would typically pass completely unnoticed, dismissed as a completely minor and meaningless coincidence. Yet, because of the specific identities of the individuals involved and the deeply entrenched histories that connect them across the Atlantic, this seemingly innocent gesture was instantly loaded with immense symbolic weight, transforming a simple wardrobe adjustment into a massive talking point. As the video clip accumulated millions of views and spread rapidly across international news feeds, it triggered an avalanche of burning questions, elaborate theories, and passionate debates regarding the potential deeper meanings hidden behind the apparent lack of an exchange. For millions of viewers worldwide, it was simply impossible to know what truly transpired in that exact second, or what may have occurred entirely off-camera out of the sight of the media lenses. The absolute certainty of the situation remains entirely elusive, leaving an open canvas for onlookers to project their own interpretations, biases, and suspicions onto the silent footage. Before we dive deeper into the fascinating web of relationships, historical grievances, and social allegiances that fueled this explosive controversy, please take a quick moment to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dive reports on the most compelling global events. As the internet continued to dissect the footage, the public conversation rapidly shifted away from the tennis court and focused squarely on a complex, long-standing social divide, as many began to loudly suggest that the actress's behavior was a purposeful, highly calculated snub directed at the heart of the British monarchy. The explosive theories surrounding this apparent stadium snub did not emerge from a vacuum, but rather from a deeply entrenched and highly publicized web of personal loyalty and international high society tension. To understand why a simple moment of adjusting a dress could trigger a massive wave of global speculation, one must look closely at the long-standing personal relationship between Priyanka Chopra and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. The two women share a deep, well-documented friendship that stretches back years, long before Meghan ever met Prince Harry or entered the rigid world of the British royal family. They first crossed paths at an industry event in Canada, where Meghan was filming her long-running television drama, and Priyanka was working on a major network television series. Bound by their shared experiences as prominent women of color navigating the intense pressures of the international entertainment industry, they formed an immediate and lasting bond, frequently appearing on each other's social media feeds, praising one another in major magazine interviews, and celebrating each other's professional milestones. When Meghan Markle's high-profile romance with Prince Harry blossomed and eventually led to their historic royal wedding at Windsor Castle, Priyanka was right there among the elite circle of close friends supporting her from the chapel pews. She watched firsthand as her close friend transitioned into one of the most visible and heavily scrutinized positions on the planet, and she witnessed the immense institutional and media pressures that ultimately led to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's dramatic decision to step back from their official duties. Over the past several years, the relationship between the Sussexes and the core members of the British monarchy, most notably Prince William and Kate Middleton, became increasingly fractured and strained. The public airing of deep-seated grievances, institutional conflicts, and personal arguments through high-profile television interviews and best-selling memoirs created a stark, undeniable line in the sand, dividing global observers and high society circles into fiercely loyal camps. Against this backdrop of intense familial division, the public immediately viewed Priyanka's behavior at the Wimbledon tennis tournament not as a random, accidental coincidence, but as a deliberate and calculated act of solidarity with her longtime friend. In the court of public opinion, many observers began to argue that the actress was intentionally using her prominent platform and her highly visible seat in the royal box to deliver a subtle but unmistakably pointed message to the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. The narrative grew rapidly across online forums, with commentators asserting that a loyal friend like Priyanka would naturally harbor a degree of resentment or coldness toward the very individuals who had been publicly accused of making Meghan's time within the royal fold incredibly difficult. From this perspective, the choice to look away, to refrain from clapping, and to focus intently on a piece of clothing while the rest of the stadium roared with enthusiastic approval was interpreted as a quiet, sophisticated protest, a way to stand by the Duchess of Sussex without uttering a single controversial word. However, as this dramatic interpretation gained significant traction worldwide, an equally vocal contingent of royal commentators and objective media analysts began to step forward to challenge the validity of the snub theory, urging the public to consider a much more rational and grounded explanation. Many pointed out that suggesting a globally respected actress and seasoned public figure would intentionally and conspicuously insult the future king and queen of the United Kingdom in such a high-stakes, heavily televised environment might be a massive stretch of the imagination. In the hyper-polished world of international celebrity, where public image is meticulously managed by teams of professionals, an overt and public show of disrespect towards senior members of the British royal family would carry immense professional and social risks. It could jeopardize future invitations to prestigious events, alienate powerful corporate sponsors, and create unnecessary controversy for an individual who has spent decades cultivating a reputation for impeccable poise, professionalism, and global diplomacy. Furthermore, those defending the actress emphasized that if there were any grain of truth to the speculation regarding an underlying personal awkwardness, the method employed was so incredibly subtle that it could easily be a case of making a mountain out of a molehill. In the fast-paced, chaotic environment of a crowded sporting stadium, individuals are constantly distracted by a multitude of internal and external factors. A guest might be adjusting their clothing simply because a seam is pulling uncomfortably, checking a small detail, or conversing with a neighbor, completely unaware of the exact second a camera lens decides to pan across their row. The act of casually fixing a garment and continuing to mingle politely with peers in one's immediate vicinity is, by any standard definition, a completely normal and routine human behavior. To definitively transform such an ordinary action into a calculated act of international defiance requires a significant leap of faith, one that relies far more on the public's insatiable appetite for royal drama than on the actual realities of what occurred in the stands. Yet, despite these highly logical and grounded counter-arguments, the online world remained absolutely transfixed by the footage, unwilling to let go of a narrative that perfectly mirrored the ongoing real-life drama of the House of Windsor. The debate highlighted a fascinating aspect of modern celebrity culture, where the public is constantly searching for physical clues, micro-expressions, and unspoken body language to confirm their suspicions about hidden rivalries and alliances. In this highly charged environment, the truth often becomes secondary to the story that people want to believe, and the absence of an explicit exchange between the parties involved allowed onlookers to project their own intense feelings about the royal family onto the silent video clip. As the discussions raged across social media platforms, with thousands of users leaving passionate arguments in the comment sections, the incident transformed from a simple, fleeting moment at a tennis match into a massive cultural case study on the nature of loyalty, public perception, and the enduring power of royal controversies. Ultimately, this striking stadium moment matters because it serves as a vivid microcosm of the broader, ongoing cultural fascination with the invisible boundaries separating the British monarchy from the shifting landscape of global celebrity. When looking at the individuals at the center of this controversy, their unique biographies and highly distinct life paths provide crucial context that helps explain why the public was so quick to assume a deeper narrative of personal friction and institutional defiance. Priyanka Chopra has long been celebrated as a fiercely independent self-made icon, rising from her early success as a major Bollywood actress to build a powerful, multifaceted international career spanning across continents, industries, and creative platforms. Known for her sharp intelligence, intense work ethic, and vocal advocacy for women's empowerment on the global stage, she has consistently used her immense public profile to support grassroots initiatives and champion the accomplishments of her close friends and peers, remaining deeply loyal to those who shared her journey before she reached the peak of Hollywood visibility. On the other side of this unspoken stadium dynamic are Prince William and Kate Middleton, individuals whose entire lives are defined by a strict, lifelong commitment to institutional duty, traditional state protocols, and the meticulously managed preservation of the British Crown's public image. From their early days navigating the immense pressures of public life to their current roles as leading figures within the royal structure, they have trained themselves to project an unwavering aura of poise, dignity, and formal reserve under the constant gaze of the international media. For the senior royals, attending high-profile cultural events like the Wimbledon tennis tournament is not merely a relaxed weekend leisure activity, but a highly structured public appearance where every gesture, greeting, and movement is carefully arranged to uphold traditional expectations and project a sense of accessible majesty to the public. When these completely different worlds collided within the confined rows of the royal box, the resulting lack of an explicit, visible exchange gave rise to an explosive interpretation that beautifully mirrors the deeply polarized public sentiment regarding the modern monarchy. Those who firmly believe that a subtle snub took place frequently point to a fascinating historical irony, drawing a direct parallel between Priyanka's focus on her own garment and a highly publicized past incident involving Prince William himself. Years prior, eagle-eyed royal fans had widely dissected footage of the royal family leaving a traditional church service, noting that the prince appeared to spend an unusually long time adjusting his own winter scarf rather than engaging in direct conversation with Meghan Markle as she walked nearby. For a significant portion of the internet, the actress's actions at the tennis match felt like a brilliant, poetic mirror image of that exact moment. A clever and completely silent utilization of the exact same body language to establish a cold social distance without breaking any formal rules of public decorum. The Independent yet, as the global conversation surrounding the video clip began to settle, a much wider and far more realistic perspective emerged among veteran cultural commentators, who argued that the entire incident was a classic example of modern media overinterpretation. In an era dominated by rapid-fire digital content and constant social media analysis, the public has become heavily conditioned to look for hidden drama, deep-seated rivalries, and dramatic confrontations in places where they simply do not exist. The highly complex realities of human interaction within a chaotic, high-energy environment like a sports final are rarely captured accurately in a fleeting, seconds-long video snippet. It is incredibly common for individuals in a crowded section to simply miss a brief arrival, to be momentarily caught up in an independent conversation, or to be completely distracted by a functional need like adjusting an accessory, with absolutely no underlying malice, political motivation, or personal resentment driving their behavior. In the final analysis, whether this striking stadium moment was a deliberate, calculated display of personal loyalty to a distant friend or merely a completely random, innocent coincidence remains something that only the participants themselves will ever truly know. What remains undeniable is the fascinating way the public reacted to the imagery, transforming a minor and fleeting moment of stadium behavior into a massive, multi-day headline that dominated international entertainment news. It serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring, global fascination with the intricate interpersonal relationships and hidden tensions that define the modern high society landscape, proving